Hello.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the only YouTube channel on the internet. I hope you're doing well, and if you're new here, howdy partner. Come on in the OK Corral here in the only YouTube channel. I just finished watching part 1 of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, and what? What the fuck? What is happening? That had to be the most chaotic, insane 9 first episodes of an anime I've ever seen in my goddamn life. I'm not sure exactly what I was expecting from a show called Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, but it was even crazier than I expected. I am overflowing with things that I want to talk about, so I'm here to share my reaction to part 1 of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. This is probably going to end up becoming an ongoing series for me because despite what you may think based off of this initial reaction, I greatly enjoyed watching all of this, and I'm really excited to get into part 2 because I've been told that that's where it really gets spicy. That's when the good stuff starts cooking. Honestly, at the beginning of this show was so jarring. Like, episode 1, we're getting a dog burned alive, bro. Like, you cannot start off with something more brutal than burning someone's dog alive. Okay, well, that's a lie. There's a lot more worse stuff you could do. But, you know, that's in, like, the top 100 list, I would say, probably. It's honestly hilarious just how much of a supervillain Dio is from the very beginning. Like, there is no preamble of, like, oh, I wonder how this guy became how he is. He's just immediately pure evil, and that's, like, addressed later in the season where they're like, this is the most evil being of all time, and it's like there is no reason for Dio to be this way. He just is, and I kind of like that. It adds to the camp factor of everything, that he's like this dark lord and he's burning dogs alive in episode 1. And the story just moves at a breakneck pace because the next episode, it's like years later, they have Giga Chad bodies and they're playing rugby, competing against each other, and then all of a sudden the mask there's blood on it, and there's a vampire, and shit is just getting wild immediately. Honestly, one of the things that got me the most at the very beginning of the show was the first time that the outro played. I had seen, like, the outro meme so many times and had no idea that it was from Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. So the first time that it played, it caught me off guard so hard, and I laughed for like 5 straight minutes, and then I laughed on every single subsequent episode. As soon as the outro theme song started playing, I would just start cackling because I didn't know that was from JoJo's. I'm sure this is just one of many memes that I will stumble across while watching JoJo's that I did not know were from JoJo's. It was just so jarring at some points in the show where it's like, oh, this person just got brutally dismembered. Do 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 do. It was so jarring, dude. Also, that was definitely not the tune for the outro. That was just what popped into my brain. It was close enough. You know what I mean. Another thing that I really was not expecting from JoJo's was for there to be vampires. I've been told that that's like one of the more tame things that happens in terms of random shit that enters the story, which makes me very excited because that to me was one of the best parts of all of the part 1 was when randomly there's a vampire. I was like, that's quite a turn. And once vampires enter the story, it just takes off and does not look back. Episode 3, where they like burn down the Joestar mansion and Dio turns into a full-blooded vampire and Jojo's having to fight him off and they're like falling through fire. Dude, it was so epic and so intense. And I was like, this is the 3rd episode? Like, where is this gonna go from here? It's not long after vampires are introduced that we get our introduction to the magic system, which is Hamon. I think I'm saying that right. It has weird applications. I'm not really sure what its limits are. It kind of feels like it can do pretty much anything, which I enjoyed because it made the fights very fun, which I want to talk about the fights real quick because the fights were hilarious to me while also being like super intense and very hype, where it's like, oh, I have you in this position. It's over, Joestar. And he's like, you forgot about this thing. And then he's like, but you forgot about this thing that I can do. And he's like, but I thought about that and ahead of time, and I planted this seed of thing that I could do. And it's just Uno reverse, Uno reverse, Uno reverse, and it just kept happening, but it always worked, and it was like funny every time. And like I was like, there was a couple times that I sat up and I was like, what? No way. Like Which I shouldn't have been surprised, but I don't know. It had this level of camp to it that was just perfect. And I've been told that it improves a lot combat-wise going forward. But I enjoyed the fights in part 1. Honestly, what I was just talking about, the level of camp in JoJo's is what made it work for me in part 1, was that it was so over the top and so melodramatic and like so intense that it worked. If it hadn't been like self-aware to some degree, there's no fucking shot it would have ever worked. But like you can definitely tell that the creator knew that it was like way too extreme for like what's even remotely realistic. So it works in that way of being campy. I feel like even the voice actors were like really good at accentuating that level of camp, because some of the line readings were fucking hysterical. Really, everything about this show is like super strange and over the top. The animation style is very unique and specific, and sometimes just outright like weird, and like I loved it in that way though. And like the way that colors are used, where, you know, one scene to another, someone's hair color will just change and the entire palette will change, and there's like these mix of colors that are like clashing against each other. Everything about the show seems tailored to just like keep you on edge the entire time and keep you wondering like, what the fuck is going on right now? It definitely worked for me. I enjoyed like every single episode, and there was really no point where I was like, I don't want to hit next. Like, and the plot only gets crazier as it goes on, because then you have Zappelli, the trainer dude, who had a Tibetan monk give him a prophecy that he was going to die, and he transfers his soul power to Jojo, and then they go and fight Dio, and it's this crazy fight, and then Dio, as he's dying, getting beheaded, shoots lasers out of his eyes, like, and they're fighting zombies, like, what? It's fucking crazy. Probably the best episode in the entire part 1 was the last episode, because despite the plot being all over the place, and the characters just being super, like, one note for the most part, I was really sad when Jonathan Joestar died, and for some reason, I had an attachment to his relationship with his wife, and that was like a really emotional moment for me. And also, it was hilarious seeing Dio fucking Futurama his head in this jar, and he's plotting this mastermind takeover to take over Jonathan Joestar's body. It was just so... It was so wild. I feel like I don't have any other descriptors for it. It's just so strange and wild and out there, and I am eating it up because I can buy into that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm very excited to get further into the show, because everyone tells me that it only gets better moving into the next few parts, and I really liked part 1. So, like, I don't know what's gonna happen now. Definitely expect a lot more videos on JoJo's from me. I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot I want to talk about and a lot of reactions that I want to share. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Join the only YouTube channel on the internet. And if you feel like it, join the Discord in the link down below. We have a rowdy time in the Discord. That's about it for me though, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. See ya. Adios. Bye.